1812, Napoleon Bonaparte ruled the most powerful empire in Europe. After years of victories, he controlled or influenced nearly every kingdom on the continent. But his alliance with Tsar Alexander I of Russia was collapsing. When the Tsar abandoned the continental system, Napoleon's plan to strangle Britain's trade, the emperor saw it as betrayal. Determined to enforce his will, he prepared to invade Russia, a decision that would become his greatest mistake. On June 24, 1812, the Grand Armée crossed the river Niemen, more than 600,000 soldiers from France and its allies. Napoleon expected a short campaign and a swift Russian surrender. But Russian generals Barclay de Tolly and Kutuzov refused direct battle. Instead, they retreated, destroying villages and crops in their wake. The scorched earth strategy left nothing for the invaders to eat or shelter in. The vast Russian landscape became an invisible enemy. Food vanished, horses died, and heat exhausted entire regiments. Disease spread faster than musket fire. By August, a third of the army was gone, lost to hunger and illness, not combat. Yet Napoleon pushed onward, believing one decisive battle would end the war. On September 7, 1812, near the village of Borodino, the Russians finally made a stand. The battle was brutal. Nearly 250,000 men fought, and more than 70,000 were killed or wounded. Napoleon claimed victory, but the Russians retreated in good order. He had won the ground, yet lost the strength of his army. The road to Moscow lay open, but it led into emptiness. On September 14th, Napoleon entered Moscow expecting peace. Instead, he found a silent, deserted city. Within days, fires erupted everywhere. 3/4 of Moscow burned to the ground. Whether started by soldiers or citizens, the result was devastation. Napoleon waited in the Kremlin for Tsar Alexander's surrender, but no message ever came. Winter was approaching, and his supplies were nearly gone. In mid-October, Napoleon ordered the retreat. Temperatures plunged to 30 degrees. Frostbite, starvation, and exhaustion tore the army apart. Men collapsed where they stood. Horses froze in their harnesses. Russian forces pursued relentlessly, cutting off stragglers and burning bridges. At the Borodino River, thousands died as collapsing pontoons gave way under enemy fire. Of the 600,000 who invaded, fewer than 100,000 made it out alive. Napoleon returned to Paris ahead of his shattered army. Though he rebuilt his forces, the illusion of invincibility was gone. His enemies, Britain, Prussia, Austria, and Russia, united against him. Within 2 years, he was defeated at Leipzig, forced to abdicate, and exiled to Elba. The invasion of Russia had destroyed not just his army, but the empire he built upon it. The Russian campaign stands as a turning point in modern history, a lesson in the limits of ambition. Napoleon, once master of Europe, was undone not by generals, but by distance, weather, and pride. More than 400,000 soldiers perished in a land they never understood. History remembers 1812 not as a victory or defeat, but as a warning. Even the greatest conqueror cannot conquer nature. Keep history alive with us. Subscribe to Past in Motion for more stories from the pages of time.